Today we are going to discuss about chromosomal theory of inheritance. Chromosomal theory of inheritance. Heredity, we already know what do we mean by heredity. Heredity can be defined as the inheritance or transmission of characters from one generation to the next generation. This we had already discussed in Mendelian basis of inheritance. Mendel, he was known as a father of genetics. Now the chromosomal theory, it is given by Sutton and Boveri in 1904. There are certain postulates which are related with the chromosomal theory of inheritance, and these postulates are, now we are going to see one by one. The one is gametes. So gametes, that is sperm or eggs, they carry all the hereditary characters and they are the link between parents and their child or the offspring. So gametes is the important link between them. These gametes, it has obviously the nucleus, and this nucleus, it also contains chromosomes, and these chromosomes carry information from one generation to the another generation. Now chromosomes, they are found in pairs. So chromosomes, they are found in pairs. So whether it is a somatic cell or it is a germ cell, chromosomes are present, and ideally in somatic cell, chromosomes are in pairs, because in germ cells a single copy is present, but in somatic cell, which is a diploid cell, it contains a pair of chromosomes. During gamete formation, whenever there is a process of gametogenesis, that is spermatogenesis and oogenesis, during gamete formation, homologous chromosomes, we are going to discuss about homologous chromosomes. What's exactly the definition of homologous chromosome? It is they pair, they segregate or separate independently at the time of meiosis. So even if they are present in pairs in somatic cells, but during gamete formation, the homologous chromosome, they start separating, they get segregated, so that only one of the pair should be present in the gametes. And during fertilization, the union of sperm and egg or ovum, it restores the diploid number. So this is the very important event when fertilization takes place. Sperm carries one copy of the chromosome, egg carry one copy of the chromosome. They are haploid. This is also haploid. So once the fertilization is there, sperm and eggs, they unite and it stores the diploid number of that species, and that is the reason the chromosome number of species remain constant. Otherwise we would have seen that there would be thousands and millions chromosomes might have been present in the organism, but this thing that doesn't happen only because of the formation of gametes. Gamete only carry a single copy, and when it unites, it helps to restore the diploidity or the diploid number of that particular species. So chromosome number of species remains constant. So this is very important event which occurs during the gametogenesis. Now here we are again going to see what exactly is homologous chromosome. So homologous chromosome, the definition is chromosomes which are morphologically and genetically identical. They are called as homologous chromosomes. So morphological and genetically identical or similar chromosomes are called as homologous chromosomes. Now see, this diagram, it shows that how meiosis is done and how these germ cells are produced. Now, we have already studied about the cell cycle and cell division. In cell division, we had already seen mitosis and meiosis. Mitosis is important for the somatic cells, but when it comes for the germ cells, when it comes for the gametes, meiosis is an important event. During meiosis, as we all know, G1, that is a growth 1 phase, then G2, which is a growth 2 phase, then cell enters in the cell division. Now this cell division may be mitosis or meiosis. We are going to discuss here meiosis. So meiosis 1, specifically during anaphase. We can see here the cell is here, the chromosomes are formed. These 4 chromosomes are formed and they have started segregation. The segregation is started here. So in meiosis 2, once the meiosis 1 is complete, it enters in meiosis 2. Again in meiosis 2, anaphase, that is anaphase 2, the chromosome, they start segregating. And this segregation, how exactly it happens, that also we are going to discuss. The germ cells are formed. So here we get 4 germ cells with a different combinations. Now there are 2 fates. Now we are going to discuss how exactly these 2 fates works. Now this diagram will give us the 2 possibilities. Now the one possibility is that the one long orange arm will be with a short green chromosome and long yellow and short red chromosome at the same pole. If this condition arises in meiosis 2, the anaphase, it will combine. It helps in the formation of germ cells. So at the end we can get germ cells. The 2 will be here orange plus green combination or yellow plus red combination. If there is another possibility, the second possibility is the orange one is with red. The condition is now reversed and the yellow is with green. So at the anaphase we can see that it helps to form the bivalent here. So the orange one will combine with the red and the yellow one will combine with the green and the germ cells will be produced. Respective germ cells will be produced. This is the main significance of meiosis because we can see this leads to variation. Even if we are the part of our parents or the gametes are formed but we are sibling our parents, we all are not identical, and this plays a very significant role because in meiosis the different combinations can be seen and it leads to the variation, and this is important aspect whenever we can say that independent assortment. Why the chromosomes can give us independent assortment? Because of meiosis. And remember this thing, the independent assortment, it is seen or the variations can only seen in the sexually reproducing organisms. Now we are going to discuss about the chromosome in detail. So euploidy. Euploidy means ideally the number, the presence of whole set of chromosome is called as euploidy. Euploidy, that means when in an organism a complete set of chromosome is present, it is called as euploidy. Now it has some terms also. Haploid. Haploid, that means when only one set of chromosome is present, that is known as haploidy. So one set of chromosome. So obviously it is denoted by N. When it is diploid. Diploid means when there are 2 sets of chromosome. So it is denoted by 2N. And triploid. Triploid when 3 set of chromosome are present, it is known as triploid. So it is 3n. There might be tetraploid condition also. So tetraploid, when there are 4 sets of chromosome, they are known as tetraploid condition. So euploidy means the presence of whole set of chromosome is the euploidy. Haploid, one set of chromosome which we ideally see in gametes. Diploid, somatic cells which are present. Triploid, primary endosperm nucleus. And tetraploid condition, it is ideally seen in most of the plants. There is polyploid condition also most of the time in the wheat. Polyploid condition is also seen. Now when we say that in a diploid condition 2n, 2 sets of chromosome are present. Now if we could take an example of human, we have total 46. So 2n is equals to 46 chromosomes. Now out of this 46 chromosome, n will be obviously 23 chromosome. Here if we talk about the 23 chromosome, 22 pairs are autosomes and only one is a sex chromosome, which is also known as allosomes. So out of 23, 22 are called as autosomes and one pair is called as a sex chromosome. So if it is a male, human male, then the case will be 23 pairs. Out of 23 pairs, 22, that means 44 plus 22 pairs, that means 44. 44 will be autosomes and the one will be sex chromosome pair, so that will be XY. So if it is XY, then that will be the male, and if it is 44 plus XX, it denotes the genotype of female. Now we are going to discuss about the structure of chromosome. Now structure of chromosome, it is more instinctively observed during the metaphase, because ideally during metaphase, which happens during the karyogenesis, the chromosomes can be seen very nicely. Thus a metaphasic chromosome, it appears to have 2 identical halves which are called as sister chromatids. Now each sister chromatid, it is made up of subchromatid which is known as chromonemata. Now here we need to understand one thing. This is chromonemata and this is the centromere. Centromere is the part where the second identical chromosome will come, or the homologous chromosome will come and will attach. So we can see the X-shaped structure here. So the centromere, this is the chromonemata. So the each sister chromatid is made up of subchromatid which is known as chromonemata. The sister chromatid lie side by side and are held together by centromere, and this centromere, it is also known as primary constriction. Centromere, the another name is primary constriction. In some chromosomes, they develop another constriction, so it is called as a secondary constriction. This may develop at its outer end as a bulb-like structure, and this bulb-like structure, it is called as satellite. This is also called as nuclear organizer. Satellite is also called as nucleolar organizer. It is needed for the formation of nucleolus. The terminal end of chromosomes are called as telomere. So the terminal end is called as a telomere and they are unique. They do not allow the chromosomes to stick together but allow the chromosome to stick to the inner side of the nuclear envelope. On the surface of chromosomes are a number of small swellings, and these small swellings, they are called as chromomeres. So these are the chromomeres. These are the small swellings which are present. This is the overall structure of chromosomes. Now we are going to discuss about the sex chromosomes. Sex chromosome we have already discussed. Now X and Y are considered to be the sex chromosome, or they are called as the sex chromosome. As shown here, X chromosome contains large amount of euchromatin. So euchromatin is the active part of the chromosome. So it contains large amount of euchromatin and a small amount of heterochromatin. Whereas the euchromatin contains large amount of DNA. So thus when it has large amount of DNA, it is genetically active. If we compare it with the Y chromosome has less amount of euchromatin and a large amount of heterochromatin. Since it has less amount of euchromatin, that means it has less amount of DNA, so less genes are present, so it is less active. So it is less active as compared to X. X chromosome is longer than Y chromosome. They have homologous as well as non-homologous region. This is homologous region. This is non-homologous region. Non-homologous region of X chromosome shows more genes than that of non-homologous part of Y chromosome. Now, this is about the sex chromosome. In short, X is genetically active as compared to the Y chromosome. Now, we'll see various types of chromosomes. Now, depending upon the proposition of centromere. So, this is the centromere. We have already discussed about centromere. So, depending upon the position of centromere, the chromosomes can be distinguished. Ideally, there are 4 types. As we can see in the diagram, metacentric, when the centromere is exactly in the middle. So, when the another chromosome will come and will attach here like this, it will form a V shape. So, here V shape is formed. So, this is metacentric. Submetacentric, when it is not exactly in middle but slightly away from the middle, it is known as submetacentric, and when the another chromosome will come and will bind at the centromere, the homologous chromosome, it appears like L shaped. Then acrocentric, when it is towards the tip, it is called as acrocentric, and when another chromosome will come and attach to the centromere, it appears to be J shaped. And telocentric, it is exactly at the tip, at the end of chromosome, so it appears rod shaped or small I, so it is the telocentric. So these are the 4 types of chromosomes. Depending upon the position of centromere, they are metacentric, submetacentric, acrocentric and telocentric. So this is about the basic structure. What is chromosome? What are the postulates of chromosomal theory? Who put forward the chromosomal theory? Sutton and Boveri. We had discussed all about this. Now in our next session, we'll be discussing about the chart which is been shown here. This is the Morgan's experiment which was done on Drosophila melanogaster, and it will tell us about the linkage patterns. So that we are going to discuss in detail in our next session. Till then, stay home, stay safe.